episode. There's no natural ending or this is a good ending point or by design. I just decided I don't want to do this one anymore. I'm filming this almost on New Year's, not quite, but I thought about this. It's not gaining traction. So I said, okay, I don't want to do something that is not interesting for other people. So I decided to make a lot of changes. So this is the last episode of KlueIQ Chronicles. I think I've covered everything except what I'm going to talk about today. And then I'm working on right now the final season of Officer Down. It was going to be a little longer. It was going to be 6, 7 seasons, 6 a pop. It's going to end with the 3rd season, and I'm changing the focus of that one as well. So that last one, Officer Down, season 2 is police officers who were just like civilian murder victims. It wasn't on the job. The 3rd season I was going to have as unsolved crimes, but I decided you have to excuse me. I actually was working through a flu that has just made a mess of things here on my speaking voice. So the 3rd season of Officer Down, the final one, is going to be undercover police officers killed in the line of duty. So that's 6 episodes. I already know which 6 I'm doing. They have the script. Now it's just a matter of me. I'm saying this in December. By the time you hear this one, they'll probably have already been halfway aired. So it's a little different. So that's my final season. And where I am right now, I'm talking to the future. I'm in your past, in your recent past right now. So I tape these ahead of time. I do them in batches because I only want to focus on one podcast, and that is a true crime wrong story. That one is done. I've done 2 seasons, worked on the scripts and everything else in 2 seasons, the visuals. So the reason I don't want to do Officer Down is the same reason. I think you need more visuals, and I think with Officer Down, it's hard to gain traction. And I can revisit this. I can do it in a game format. I can do it in a podcast format, a streaming format. It's, I would say, hiatus, but if it comes back, it has to come back in a different form. So what's on top of 2026 for KlueIQ? It's this from August to December was very much trying to figure out what will work, what won't, and getting through things. I have changed the skin of my website, done a different setup. So that's new. Well, actually, it's not new now. That's probably been out a couple of months by the time you hear this, but I just did it today. Still need to do a little bit of tweaking with links, but that will be the landing page. So that's the website looks different. There will be only one podcast. I still have, by the time you hear this, Enigmatic Ticket will have already been released. The Circle of the Frozen Mind Omnibus should have been released. And then there's going to be 2 nonfiction interactive documentaries coming out, which should have come out actually in 2025, but this is the 2nd time I've gotten sick. The first time I got sick, it wasn't a flu. Something really affected me very badly. It was physical. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was some sort of bug or something, but I was really, really sick. And it took me about 3 weeks to fully recover. So I lost a lot of time there. And then I caught the flu for Christmas, and that actually took a lot out of me. This one was particularly nasty. And it's kind of funny because I work remotely and I really try to avoid getting sick, but it comes to me. And then there's nothing I didn't do. I go out, I do things. It comes to me. I didn't want to wait anymore to film this. So the first is Crimes of the Art, Vanishing Virtue. The preview was on my website. That one will be offered in a different format in Rempay. The second one is called Alone, and that one is also nonfiction. And that one's coming later on this year. So that's what I'm working on right now. So there'll be 4 offerings at least in gaming, and there will also be the blog. I didn't really want to blog anymore, but I seem to do this in spurts. But usually when I blogged, a book would come out of it eventually. And I decided not anymore. I don't want to write another book. I mean, another one I could do, but it would be fiction and it would be something totally unexpected. And I don't have the time right now. But the reason I come back is usually something annoys me, or you see irrationality. Every few years, people get so irrational that they totally get into this void vortex they cannot get out of. And right now, you see people who are anti AI, they're totally irrational to the point where you really have to question. To the point, do you listen to yourself? You have this liberating tool that you can totally take a different trajectory. And instead of being grateful, you're trying to destroy other people's livelihoods, business, hopes, and dreams because you can't keep up or won't keep up. Mostly won't. You've memorized these few rules and you think this is reality. You have people who want to go back to a worse era. And one of the examples of when people go back to something is companies with RTO, return to office. Why would you do this if you can have people work from home? You just want to control people. You've memorized the rules of how to play office politics, or you want to have an affair. And that's the easiest place to do. And that's why we have RTO. We don't have it for any other reason. So people in the C-suite love RTO because that's their comfort zone, even though that's a huge step backwards. And middle-class people who are afraid, as I say, nobody's with an uninformed opinion, have never accomplished anything in their lives, and life has passed them by, don't want people to get ahead with AI. So it's these narcissists. Not everybody's a narcissist. This often is an overused term. And I usually don't go for personal attacks, but there's sometimes you just have to say, you know what? You're a narcissist. You are not a king or a queen with a crown making degrees. You are a nobody. And in a world of 8 billion people, that's a pretty good description of most people. They think they're special and you're not. We can say you're a somebody. No, you're a nobody. It doesn't matter if you have billions or you don't. You can have an opinion. This is what I want to do. But when you start telling other people what to do, no. It's better to come off understanding that you're not anybody special. The more we understand that we have to make our own way. We might not like how other people do things, but they go their way, you go yours. And people are very uncomfortable of telling other people, shut up, get lost, and you're not going to tell me what to do. And that's hard for a lot of people. They think being nice and being polite is not telling people off. And it's the opposite. You can do what you want. If you want to join a circus, join this circus. If you're trying to force other people to join your circus, it's a different story. You're not my clown. You're not my circus. I'm not going along. And lots of people, they want to sit on the fence. And you can't sit on the fence. You can say, okay, you don't like this technology, but it's going to be there. You can try to sabotage things. You're just making enemies who will retaliate against you. People think if they pick up a pencil that makes them something special. No. Art can be done in different ways. I do kintsugi, for instance. I do alcohol ink. I do sumigashi. A lot of the things I do are not typical art. Just as I like the theremin. I play that. And the theremin, if you know what it is an instrument you don't touch in order to play it. So I like things that are atypical. Anybody who knows me understands that I am not a typical person. Doesn't make me someone special. Just makes me not part of the majority. And I don't want to be. I don't want to get lost in a crowd, which is interesting. When you're not, you're somebody who's outspoken, not afraid to say things, not afraid to offend, not afraid to be not mainstream. And you're trying to put a public company out there. It almost seems funny. Most people who, want to do something, they don't want to offend so that they can attract as much audience as they can. And that's not a long-term solution, because then people get offended and they don't want to have anything to do with you. If you say, this is who I am, take it or leave it, who stays is your audience. And who leaves wasn't anybody that was going to have any lasting impact on you to begin with. So when I decided to stop this program, I thought about it. I can't say I thought long and hard. This is not gratifying. This isn't picking up. So I'm going to end it, but not just end it. I'm going to keep the old, additions out, hopefully offending some people because they need to be offended. And a lot of people don't understand. You have a right to offend people too. And some people need to be offended. But just because you're upset about something, as the saying goes, doesn't mean you're right. It means, somebody hit a nerve. And AI is something that's hit a nerve with a lot of people who thought they were special. They thought they were somebody, and people, well, how can you say people are nobodies? Very simple. You can be sweet, kind, and all that. And anybody who's worked in true crime can tell you. You walk down the street being a wonderful person that you are, and it can be snuffed out by somebody at any second. Nobody lives forever. So there isn't anybody that's getting designated as being eternal or immortal. At the end, life is finite. Life is fleeting. It's very, very short and it's very, very fleeting. And you either live to the fullest or you don't. And there are people who are so obsessed with other people. And the more you're obsessed with other people, the less value you have. And this is where, you see people who murder other people and they have no value because they've shown weakness. As soon as you kill somebody, you've shown weakness. When you think you're going to attack and bully someone online, you've shown weakness. If you don't like somebody, that's fine. They don't have to like you. They don't have to respect you, and you don't have to respect. But if you think you're going to get under somebody's skin every single time with the little stupid rules you've memorized, you have another thing coming. So when I decided to end this program, I said, I want to do something, just focus on the one. I don't want to spread myself thin. And I tend to do that. I tend to, when I get into something, focus and jump in. And I want to do this differently. So I've done this for a while, for a few months, and I decided, okay, True Crime Long Story is the flagship program. And next will be that and the games and the blog. And the blog is going to be more political and a lot more STEM-based. Yes, the emotional factor will always be there, but other factors will be in there too. It's a guide to how to use AI ethically and strategically and how to think about certain things. Because even people who use AI don't seem to understand or grasp its significance in a real way. They think it's a souped up Google, which reminds me so much of the newspaper industry or journalism in general when the internet became mainstream. They thought it was a souped up newspaper or a souped up radio station or television station. They could not understand what it was. People who did fairly well. Not everybody who understood it did fairly well. Pioneers don't tend to do very well because they have all the mistakes are on their skin. Somebody who's put no risk or no skin in the game observes, go, I see this. I can make it better. I can see their mistakes and I can run with it. I can steal their ideas. I can learn from their mistakes and I can go on and make something. And the problem with social media was it rewarded mediocrity as it fostered narcissism at the same time. So people who made it big in social media weren't extraordinary. They weren't even ordinary. People who were willing to be freaks of nature, clown around, clown themselves, not have any understanding of anything, not did the best because it was easy for anybody to pick up and understand. But now that era is over. There's only so much you can reward before it starts burning out. And that's why social media is losing its clout because it's not extraordinary. I mean, you can watch these feeds on TikTok or Facebook or shorts on Google, and you see people who supposedly do art, and you just look and you go, what the heck did you do? I don't even understand why you would do this. But just to do anything to get attention, hoping that the algorithm will work in their favor. AI is not going to be like that. And it already is proving to be different. And this is what's scaring people who have made their living on social media. They know the jig is up. They were frauds. And now something's coming in to show the world who they really are. So I don't want to go on too much longer, but I still have a few things to say. First thing is, KlueIQ is not, a company that doesn't take risks, that doesn't present information differently. It's very in your face. It's very visionary, very much forward, futuristic thinking. And to do that, it's meaning you don't just make allies. And you see these states in the US making up asinine laws about AI based on absolutely nothing. So you see Tennessee, you see Florida, no research whatsoever, no input for people who would know. And yet they're making anti-AI laws that are so stupid. I mean, they're beyond dumb. And people go, this, no. You have Ron DeSantis making laws, pandering to poorly educated people, hoping they'll you know, here you have a state that has very wealthy people, doing illegal activities, and the poor working stiffs who are in, the tourism and hospitality industries working for often below minimum wage. And we're going to pander to their fears. They don't understand that they're afraid because they're stressed. They're stressed because they're not making enough money, and the price of living is going up and up and up. And they're too frazzled to learn. This is who we pander to. We make them afraid, and then we pander to their fears that we've instilled. There was a comedian, I don't know which one, who said, but I'll paraphrase it, some people know what buttons to push because they're the ones who installed them. And politicians are very good in installing buttons in people. They have nudge units. They have their PR departments. They know exactly how to message and how to rig the board to their favor. And we're seeing this now. We're seeing with AI, they don't like it because they would lose control. So maybe if they control it and manipulate it, they can still have the paper crown they didn't earn. They didn't, and it's ironic. During COVID-19, a lot of the politicians who were pushing for all these lockdowns and all these human rights restricting activities, they all lost their positions. They didn't stay, maybe one or two exceptions who knew how to switch to something else. But the rest saw their, from them being on top to them being unceremoniously dumped. And we're seeing now the anti-AI brigade learn nothing from the past. When you're trying to manipulate, and you see this with the EU, you see this with a lot of other politicians and institutions. Well, if we meddle and we manipulate, but you don't understand the tech, there are always workarounds, and you can make every law you want. It's not going to change the outcome. Politicians are sensing a change and they're scared, but it's a day late and a dollar short now. The die's been cast. So that's another reason I decided I don't want to do it anymore. I don't need to. The job here is done. I have given you the A to Z of my beginning journey into making a gaming company on my own without any outside help whatsoever. So the next phase is not tell, it's show. So you know the benchmarks to look for: the blog, the stream, the games. That's the three main things that will be interlocking. And every 6 months, I'm going to reassess. And it's not like I'm going to report, okay, now this is what I'm going to do. It just happens. So that's all I have to say for myself.